It is Saturday the 26th of November 2022. We're looking at the moon setting, waxing crescent moon, and it's setting down through the frame here. And I have it juxtaposed with some lit branches. There's a tree lit up somewhat from lights on a building, so it sort of adds a little something to the video, I think. Yeah, we're just going to let it run a bit. I tried to position things so that the moon isn't too, like, it's basically in a somewhat clear area, but it will set down through the branches to some extent. Just an interesting little clip, I think. I might even shoot a clip where there's actually more branches between the camera and the moon, just for the heck of it, see how that looks. So anyhow, the focal length is 800 millimeters. It's a 400 millimeter lens with a 2x teleconverter attached to it. The bright point above the moon is a star, Tau Sagittarii, and the exposure is f16 is the aperture. I think I might have already mentioned that. Shutter speed's at 30 a second. The ISO is at 12,800. The highest numbered ISO. We got some buses coming by. They might actually add to the video as we go by. Anyhow, what do we got here? Yeah, it's setting down into the branches. I suppose I could just reframe, like I had spoken about possibly having more branches. So maybe if I just reframe and keep the camera running, I won't have to reposition myself. So, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. So yeah, now we've got the branches. I'm not gonna adjust the focus for the branches, I don't think. I think that the moon obviously go out of focus, but it might just turn to mush. So I think we'll just keep this as is. And yeah, so we'll just keep the camera rolling here. Debating if I should move the moon off center more to the left, but I think we're okay for now. Let the moon set. So this is obviously, how can I put it? This is not your typical astrophotography, shall we say, with these branches in the way. But I think it's a kind of a fun image. So we're just going to let this video run. It's nice that the star is just below the branches. It should continue below, should basically be clear. The branches. Sometimes when the wind blows, the branch does obscure the star a little bit, but I think it's going to run down below the branch for the most part. So, yeah, kind of a fun, spooky, shall we say, image here. And looking off to my left, at about a couple of hands, man, up on the horizon, I see Jupiter. Saturn's out there somewhere, but it's so dim that it's hard to see, especially with a lot of light pollution around. What else? Do I see anything else of any interest? Oh, behind me is I'm wondering if it's the ISS. It could be an aircraft, but it might be the ISS. I didn't check for ISS passes, but there's something going along. It doesn't appear to be flashing lights. It might well be the ISS. I'm debating if I should turn the camera around and film it. But I think it's more likely to be an aircraft than the ISS, i.e. the International Space Station. Yeah, I think the way it's moving, it's more probably an aircraft. I see we're almost at a situation where the moon's in the bottom of the frame. The star, I guess, is now hidden behind branches somewhat. Oh, well, that's it. I think the bright light that I was looking at basically means it could very well have been the ISS. I will check the ISS passes to see if there was one over Montreal at this time. Because you know, if it was an aircraft and it was aircraft lights, you know, it would still be visible, but it ain't. So it might very well have been the International Space Station passing Montreal. So this is kind of, you know, spooky image, shall we say. Stars I'm just gonna let this run. So again, the star above the moon is Tau Sagittarii. Of light in the sky, not ridiculous. Yeah, I'm liking this in terms of you know, like footage for not that I'm not a big horror movie fan, actually. In fact, I don't like them mainly because it's not that scary. I know it's all fake, and so I don't really do much for me. I don't particularly enjoy horror in any case, you know. So that's that. Just a little personal information, shall we say? This is kind of nice with the star and the moon and the branches. Debating if I should bring the branches into focus. That would throw the moon out of focus, obviously. I think I'll wait a bit on that. So we see the star traversing a vertical branch there. It'll come out on the other side. There it is. So, yeah, it's kind of a nice image. So we're just going to let this really so much wind, chances of getting a good steady pretty much serious. Take a few earlier, so hopefully I've already got one or two half decent stills, but I'm not counting on them at all. And we're just going to let the moon run down through the frame here. Now we're going to lose the star for a while because there's a bunch of branches there obscuring it. It's going to be a while before the star becomes visible again, if it even does before the moon gets down to the bottom of the frame. But we'll just let this run, like I said. We're just going to keep the camera rolling. And again, I'm concerned about how it's actually going to look. Like what I'm seeing, you know, I do see relatively bright, like not crazy bright, I mean it's dark, but what I'm saying is like I do see branches, you know, I see the moon mostly washed out. Okay, here comes the star again. But as I was saying in another clip, I did shoot the total lunar eclipse. We had a total lunar eclipse quite recently, and that didn't work out so well. It looked okay on the screen, but the videos that were actually came out were darker than what I was seeing on the screen. So my screen brightness was essentially too bright, didn't properly match the video output. So I decreased the screen brightness to try to correct that, but I don't know if I corrected it enough. This is possible that this video will be actually a bit darker than what I'm seeing. But it's a possibility. Anyway, the moon is getting down to the bottom of the frame. recording. So I think we're going to wrap this up soon. Yeah, I think we're done for this clip pretty well. We'll let it run a bit longer, but we're going to end this clip soon. And I'm debating if I even bother doing anything more tonight. Hang on, I have an idea. I'm going to just reframe. So we're going to move a little to the right, a little bit down. So now we've really got branches. I'm not sure if my camera's as level as it was. So might be slightly tilted down to the right. I mean, you can't really tell, just from looking at the video. It doesn't. But yeah, there's basically, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, the branches are obscuring the moon a bit more than I would like. However, it's going to come out on the other side. As we can see, it's starting to become visible on the other side, and it's somewhat clearer. There are other branches, but they're smaller. So maybe we'll just let this continue to run. I have a total of 20 minutes worth of recording time, so I can let it run for another, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Probably won't go that long, but I will continue filming for the time being. Okay, so there's the star again in that little gap. The moon's more or less visible. So yeah, we're gonna let it run as we'll let the moon traverse that little gap there. And again, not the most exciting video by any means. I produced quite a lot of boring video like this, I can tell you. Must be the Andy Warhol in me or something like that. Essentially what we're doing is just commenting on astrophotography, only it's astrovideography, I guess. Typically, you don't have branch obscure things, but I kind of like this. So that's that. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the moon pass through the gap there. Got 7 minutes and 10 seconds recording time left. There's the star again in the little gap between the branches. So yeah, it's kind of fun actually. But I think once the moon starts to get hidden behind that big vertical branch to the right, I think at that point we're probably going to wrap up this clip a little earlier than the full recording time. It's not quite as breezy as it was. The breeze seems to have died down a bit, so hopefully there's less vibration in the video itself. The sky is quite a bit darker. When I first started recording, there was still some blue in the sky. It's still actually a nice sort of deep blue. Now it's pretty well black. It's been black for a while. And as a rule, when I'm doing astrophotography, I like blue in the sky. I like to have some blue in the sky as much as possible. So I think we're pretty well done. So a car pulled up, asking directions. Busy boulevard behind me. I don't know if like pulling up to ask for directions on a busy boulevard is such a good idea, but there's no incident. So yeah, I think we're pretty well done here. Little 5 minutes and 30-ish seconds recording time left. The moon's down at the bottom of the frame. The star's about to get its branch again, so I'm not sure if I see much point in continuing this. I don't know. Let's see here. I'm going to readjust just to see what I get. So I'm going to reframe to see where the moon's going to go, if it's worth perhaps just letting the video continue to run. And Well, since I have nothing better to do right now, well, I mean, I have all kinds of better things to do, to be honest. But since I don't have any pressing, urgent things that I absolutely have to do right now, yeah, we're just gonna let it run. Got 4 minutes and 40 seconds recording time left, so we'll let the moon continue through the frame here. And yeah, it's like a good B-roll for a horror movie kind of thing, or some other movie. Or just anything where you want a nice image of the moon and some branches, I guess. Doesn't have to be a horror movie. But definitely shooting B-roll tonight. I basically take a little clip out of this. Okay, so there's the star again. Again, I think I'm going to do it. December, I think on the 7th of December, the moon is going to occult Mars. Like, basically Mars is going to be very close to the moon, and it's going to go below, or behind, I should say, the lower part of the moon for a little bit, and then come out the other side. That could be interesting. And then on Christmas Eve, on December 24th, it's again going to be just after the new moon, basically similar to what we're seeing right now. And the moon is going to form a triangle with Venus off to the right of the moon and Mercury above and between the moon and Venus. So that could make for a very interesting image if the skies are clear. It's going to be very low on the horizon. After sunset. It won't be visible for a long time, but there will be this triangle formed, as I said, by the crescent moon, similar to this one. Mars above. Make for an interesting still image. Yeah, moon's almost at the bottom of the frame. You see the full disk, at least I do, on the screen with the earth shine. See the star, and we got about 2 minutes of recording time left. I think it's going to get to the bottom frame before the 2 minutes are done, however. I don't know if I want to move the camera again. Yeah, maybe I will. So one more time, we're going to shift the camera. Bring it down a little, and yeah, okay, that's kind of interesting, kind of nice image. We got 1 minute and 33 seconds of recording time left. Yeah, we're just going to let it run the full 20 minutes. So I've kind of enjoyed this. It's sort of a bit zen, shall we say, basically high intensity, right? Excuse me, I did get quite sleep deprived thanks to a little mouse problem I have mice in the building. Pretty much everyone's got mice in their apartment. And, they start chewing and gnawing and scratching on stuff in the middle of the night, which can be rather bothersome. I'm live trapping them and getting them out using what I call the brown paper bag method. I sort of built an area where they can get in but they can't easily get out of. And once they're in it, then I basically persuade them to go into a brown paper bag, and once they're in the bag I come out and take them to the Falaise Saint-Jacques. Like, these trees we're looking at are part of the Falaise Saint-Jacques, so I've been evicting mice. I think it's up to about a dozen now, using that method. I did buy a live trap, and it was totally useless for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was about to take it back to Canadian Tire when and I actually did get